that starts. A little box is now up on your screen. You can see this box sort of in your way. Click the Got It button. It'll go away, and then we are ready to go. Okay. Okay, so front edge of your seat. Chin slightly down, crown naturally buoyant up. Buttock bones, the two sits bones that you can feel if you teeter-totter back and forth on your chair. You want those plugged down. Now those sits bones can be tipped on. There's sort of a pivot, and just notice that you could tip back and collapse your posture. You can tip neutral. You could tip too far forward where you'd end up straining your back a little bit if you were stuck in any of these positions. And so the neutral, the ideal neutral is slightly to the front of your sits bones so that we're not falling back. Like you can see, I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but this here sort of collapses, and we want to just tip a little bit forward. So there's a small curve in at our lumbar spine. Nothing too forced, but there's just a natural little curve there. And then again, this chin down, crown up is the correlate to that, right? We have the bottom position and we have the top position, and they're very connected to each other. So oftentimes, if our posture has been suffering this way, then we've been learning to have our chin too high up and the back of our neck and skull pinched closed. So pelvic tilt, that slight bit forward, chin slightly down, and feel this area of your neck and skull opening and the crown up. This also is how we create Zhong Zheng, which we've been talking about in our classes. Central upright. So right down the very middle of you is a central tent pole, right? A mast, a pillar. And we want to feel that pillar. And then when we have that pillow, then the next quality we're cultivating is chunwon, which means soften and relax into stability. So often we think of being stable and balanced as holding ourselves balanced. But instead, relax and let the sediment, the body weight, settle down, and create a quality of heaviness down in the bottom and lightness in the top. Eventually, they say the body weight goes 3 feet under the feet. So it's kind of like we plug into, like you plug into a socket, you plug in and get the power from the wall, and it comes into the cord. It's kind of like that's how we want to connect to the earth. We want to release and relax down, and then we feel ourselves connected and grounded, and that's chunwon. And then what is left, the result of that is that third principle, Qing Ling, which means light, nimble, movable, agile, free to move, liberated, however you want to look at it. It's this relaxed body that's grounded that starts to feel loose. And if you watch people practice Tai Chi, you notice there's this beautiful lightness to their movement. And so according to the Taoist view, the reason we don't feel that way is because we're holding tension, body weight in our tissues, in our nervous system. So release that. And if you get even a small amount of feeling of release, Really cue in on that sensation and know that that sensation has layers and layers that you can practice of sort of sloughing off, sloughing off, sloughing off. And the body, when it relaxes, plumps. It gets wider, more spacious. Nerves flow freer. Blood flows freer. So all these things, these techniques, they create an ideal state, sort of Tai Chi state. So let's just take 5 breaths considering those 3 ideas. Zhong Zheng, central upright, sturdy, centered. Chun Wan, soft, sunken down, not fighting the earth, but connecting to the earth. And then notice when you do that, you don't end up a puddle on the ground. You are still this body with a sort of integrity. Qingling, light, nimble, movable. In the nose, out the nose or mouth with your breathing. Now our joint mobilization movements. Slide your hands back, elbows back, shoulder blades back, chest lift, chin lift, arch. Go the other way. Hands forward till arms are straight, chest hollows back, drop your head, rounding the back. 3 more. Slide the hands back, elbows back, shoulder blades back, chest up, chin up, look up. Switch. Hands forward, hollow chest, drop the head. Again. Back to neutral, that starting position. From here, left hand forward, right hand and elbow back, turn shoulders and head, twist, rotation. Switch, so come back through middle, and then right hand forward, left hand and elbow back. Switch again. And switch again. Continue. This is in the transverse plane or the rotational plane. We're finding that freedom of movement here, that Qingling freedom of movement. Back to the middle. Arms hang alongside you now in the lateral plane. Let the weight shift more to your right sits bone or right buttock. Lean the body and then lift your left wrist and possibly even your left foot. So you feel yourself kind of right at this edge here, and then come back to middle and then let the weight shift to your left buttock. Left arm reaches down, right wrist comes up, possibly a little lift of the right foot, if it feels good to lift. And then we switch. So here's where we really get to feel. We got our middle pivot. So we have our center line, then we have this right at our navel, like a seesaw, right in the middle. So we can be loosely leaning, tilting, almost falling out of the chair, but yet we've got our middle intact. We don't just kerplunk to the side. So this is another idea in Tai Chi, this organization around the middle pivot. So as we loosen and free up our movement more and more, we're not just becoming sloppy and out of control. In fact, quite the opposite. we're able to really control all the parts from this middle. And back to center. Now, upper body here tends to be a common holding on tension where our fear shows up in our hands and arms. We kind of walk around a little bit stiff up here. So we got to empty that out. Shoulders forward, up over the top, back, and down the back and under again. So now we're letting the shoulder blades, chest, upper back go through its full range, cleaning out residue, barnacles, subconscious tension, unconscious tension. One more. And reverse, back, up, over the top, forward, down, under, back, and up, over the top. 3 more. Here, this space opens. And then here, as you come over the top, the space closes, the back opens. And then the front opens, back opens. Front opens, back opens. And bend your elbows, bring your hands up here, just hands are relaxed. It's really just bending at the elbows. Now we're going out like chicken wings, out and up, and then down. And around in front, squeeze, and down. This just gets another layer of that gunk that builds up and around in front. Squeeze, down, out, and up, down, around in front, squeeze. Now the second exercise here, elbows straight back behind you. So notice they're here, and then down, forward, up. The hands end up going sort of down the back as the elbows go up. And then elbows forward, down, back, down, forward, up, forward, down, back, down, forward, up, and down. And then the third exercise in this series, one above, one below. The one below goes under the armpit and hug your own body. Wrap around and crawl your fingers. Give a nice strong squeeze. Then release and just open. Then the other above, other below. Squeeze. Open. Switch. One more. And down. Swing, swing. Loose. Let them come to stillness. One forward, one back. And stillness. Scoot back a little bit. Right knee up, heel drawn in a little. Push, retract, down. Switch legs. In, push, back in and up, down. Load, unload. Reload, down. One more each. And right foot, point, flex, point, flex, a few times. Invert tilt in, evert, tilt out, tilt, tilt. Circles. And reverse circles. And down, switch. Point and flex a few times. Invert, evert, tilt, tilt. Circles. And switch direction, circles. And scoot forward on your chair. So you're very much at that edge again. Step your legs slightly, not too much, slightly wider than your hip distance. So you got a little extra space here. Lift the toes, turn on the heels. So get to this position. You can see in my feet, my legs, my toes are somewhat pointing in. My knees are touching. Yours don't have to touch, but just know that this, also feeling your groin or the quad, this closing. So the closing of the quad and the internally rotating of everything. And then lift your toes and open and feel that quad open. We'll stretch to the inner thighs. And then let's close. Quad close. And open. Close again. And open. We got to have freedom of movement at this specific joint area, the groin, the pelvic region, the lower back sacrum. And this is often where people are frozen stuck, right? So we got to free that up to have any hope of freedom of movement. Now, back to neutral. Bring your legs back to hip distance and just a couple forward folds. So at that same quad, hinge and bow forward. Sit back vertical, then tip back a little bit from that quad. Sit up, fold. Sit up, tip back. Do that a couple more times on your own, please. I'll let somebody in here. Last time. Fold. Now, from your seated position, bring your feet back underneath you. So if you're anywhere, this is basically your ideal way of standing up. Not pushing on your chair with your arms, which is how a lot of people try to do it. But instead you think, okay, back the feet up a little so they're more underneath. Fold from that quad. Pour the weight out of your chair down to the earth through your legs, and then just push through the earth, and the arms were able to stay tai chi, relaxed, loose, and free. Keep them relaxed so that as you go to sit, your butt goes back. You sink the butt, the arms dangle down, and then you sit back and they just end up hanging out. Let's do this 2 more times. Fold, rise, and then fold, sit. So finding this pivot, this freedom of movement in our middle, what's so wonderful about it is that it's the only thing you need to attend to move the body really well. We can relax the legs, we can relax the arms, relax the head, the neck, the jaw, the chest, the back, and then just realize if you've got all that relaxed and you're attending to your middle, you're probably going to be moving efficiently, safely, precisely, all those things. Now, a couple of squats using this to get something off the ground or close to it. So now don't sit in your chair, sink down the same way and try to get those fingers to your toes, maybe even touch the floor, and then push through the earth and rise back to standing. I'm going to do this again. Stick the butt back, sink. Maybe even let yourself kind of tip into your toes a little and get onto your fingertips, just a little. Put a little weight through the hands. So you're an animal, you're in all fours, and then you come back up to humanoid, standing vertical. Butt goes back, sink, like you're transforming into an all fours creature. You might even walk your hands out just a little, and then walk back and stand up. All right. Now you've got your chairs here. Bring yourself to your right side chair. Turn and face it. Fingertips touching the chair for safety. Some of you might be working on not holding on for dear life, but just psychological support. Now, tip into your toes. And then back to the middle between the two. And then into your heels a little bit. And then middle and toes. You might try no hands someday, knowing that your chair is there for safety. But you can play with, can I relax while tipping forward? And relax while I tip back a little bit. And then relax and tip forward. And relax. And this is helping our body let go of some tension that we're holding on to. Now, tip forward a little bit, stay in your toes, hands on chair as needed. Lift your heels up, pushing through your toes, get to the tippy toes. Come back down, and then rock back to the heels. Stay in your heels, hands on chair here as needed. Pull the toes and the ball of foot off the ground, so the only thing touching the ground is your heels. And then toes down, rock forward, and lift. And then back down, rock back into your heels, and pull the toes up. Do that 3 more times. A part of this I want you to think about is that being grounded is a state. But it's not a specific part of your body, it's wherever you're grounding from. So you could be in your toes with no heels at all, lift it all the way up. So really it's only your toes and the ball and the base of each toe. And then you can switch that completely so that those aren't even touching the ground and only the heels are touching the ground. Yet throughout that, you can feel grounded. Grounded throughout. So not thinking of being grounded as my feet are stuck, but more like an energetic quality going through you like a conduit to the earth, like grounding wires, right? Grounding electricity. All right, now take a look at me for a moment. Hands on the chair, walk your feet back. We're just going to stretch the legs and back. So from here, stick the butt back. Notice my legs are straight. If I'm really tight, I might bend my knees a little, but focus on buttocks and hamstrings and lower back. Going way back. Try to create this L shape or this 90-degree angle at the hips. This is basically downward facing dog, stretching open. And then just lift the chest a little bit so that you take the edge off the stretch. Coming up, let your butt come down, and then go back in for a second round. Butt back, fold in half, open the back, open the legs. And then again, we lift the chest up and walk forward. Now we're near the chair. Stand up nice and tall. Turn and face forward. Now this Qigong exercise, the chair's there if you need it, but we're going to do the left-right yin-yang Qigong. We do this in our Friday class as well, but this is of the Qigong exercises. It's the perfect one to work on walking. So change your weight to your right leg, left foot a little bit empty, lift left wrist, reach right hand down, like there's something on the floor you're trying to touch. And then switch everything. So change the weight to your left leg. Reach left hand down as the right hand floats up and the right foot is emptier. Switch again. Remember your middle pivot idea. So what we're really looking for as we change, right? We're completely changing everything about what's going on in the body in terms of one leg was empty and now I'm making it the full leg and the other the empty leg. Also my hands, this one is way up here, this one's way down there, and then I'm switching the whole situation, complete switch. We'll do it 3 more times, but the point here is that there's a middle pivot that's constant, that's not changing, around which everything's organized. So we're trying, instead of having a state of oneness that's stiff and then trying to get around the world, we're saying, no, I'm not going to be stiff. I'm going to be loose as can be, but not sloppy. It's going to be organized around a middle principle, a middle still point, a middle seesaw pivot. Right? And to the degree that you can open these pathways of change around your middle pivot, it's to that degree that you'll be able to find what Tai Chi is offering. Now we add a challenge. So the same thing, except what we add is a wheel. So the high hand goes out, low hand comes back, and then they wheel. That low hand comes up like you're tickling your armpit, and it goes out. And then the other one, up under the armpit, out. Changing leg every time. Keep cultivating that middle pivot idea so that everything is organized around this middle pivot. I started getting back into jogging on my treadmill. And what I have found very interesting is this middle pivot is the key to quality jogging as well. Let's reverse that, the wheel. So to the degree that I'm loose and free, and then I have my middle pivot, I can actually sprint quite effectively without getting exhausted, and it's very organized and it feels very easy. So it's like Tai Chi can then be leading us to being able to be very effective at sport movement, athletic movement, moving quickly, but we have to liberate the tissue congestion and free up our middle pivot. And down. Shogun, wing, roll, up and over top, settle. So after all that movement, one of the principles of Tai Chi, Taoist practice, Qigong, is stop doing anything for a moment. But not mindlessly, mindfully with hands at the middle, settling, returning, finding that middle pivot, finding that middle pivot. So a conscious pause is a big part of what they think is important. So notice, Carol, my hands are here. Yeah, and they're specifically, exactly, and I'm not pulling in and doing anything like that. They're just hanging out. It's called middle embrace. And this isn't happening, this isn't happening, this isn't happening. None of that's happening. Loose, free, easy. Hands cross. Now another Qigong. Right arm swing forward. Remember when we were on our chair, we did this swing, right? So that exact movement with something in the legs. So right arm swings forward, hold it there. Left arm swings back, hold it there. Put the weight into your right leg. Right leg. So left leg, empty. Now change. When you change into your left leg, it's a down through to the earth. So down through to the earth, swing the arms. Again, down through to the earth, swing the arms. Middle pivot. down through the earth, swing arms, down through swing, down through swing, swing, loose, free. This is part of a group of exercises called shuai shou that translates to throwing arms, swinging arms. So we're trying to feel like cooked noodle, right? We're trying to be loose and then throw this body. But again, not sloppy, not dangerous, organized around that middle principle. And please. One more shuai shou. And hopefully your hands won't hit your chairs here. But so you take your left hand, wrap it around across to your front right hip, and then take your other hand and bring it around behind. Back of the hand touches this side buttock. And then switch, switch. So now from that same middle pivot, get a little turn of the waist, turn of the waist, turn of the waist. Loose, easy. This should feel like addition by subtraction, not I'm doing something, more I'm letting go of doing anything, and I'm doing less, and doing less. Soft, easy. And then back to middle. Body as loose as can be. Now, let's move ourselves a little closer to this right side chair. Chair should be in front of you, to the right of you. Fingers can touch it, hand can get to it when you need, if you need, for balance, for safety. Try to do this first exercise, no chair. So now we just, from our middle pivot, change the weight, let the weight go down through the right leg, lift your left heel and get to the very tip of the shoe on your left foot. Then put that whole foot down without any body weight, change, and then get to the very tip of the shoe, down, change. Get to the tip of the shoe, down, change. Middle pivot intact, zhong intact, central pillar. Chun-one, softening down through one leg to find that stability, this leg empty, Qingling, and then switch. Now the empty leg becomes my conduit to Chun-one, down to the earth. Let's go level 2. Hand on chair as needed, this time from the tippy toe, disconnect, reconnect, change. So the key here is first to the tippy toe, disconnect, and then when you put the foot down, don't fall into the leg when it goes down, so that the change of weight is happening in this internal mechanism. Tippy toe, lift, down, change. Wait for it to really be empty so that you can practice Qingling, lifting without using tension, but instead waiting for it to actually feel empty. And then it's kind of like your mind can just tell the leg to lift and down. The way they poetically say it is the mind, or the the mind, mobilizes the chi. The chi mobilizes the body. So rather than grabbing on with tension and yanking the leg up, we're emptying it and then just saying down and change. It's empty, so it's free to just lift and lower. But if I didn't get to the earth, then it's going to be chaos. Level 3, hand on chair as needed, where we bring it all the way up, all the way down. So for this one, if balance is, I'm guessing balance is a challenge here, do use the chair so that you can blaze the trail, this anatomical range of motion trail, all the way up and all the way down without weight. Change. Tippy toe, lift, get all the way up so you feel the end of the range of motion of the knee lift, like we worked on when we were sitting, and change. Someday, you'll feel, because again, I'm not pulling up. In fact, I'm sitting. I'm sitting to the earth. I'm not leaving the earth even for 1 nanosecond. Just staying down, connected, grounded throughout. All right, now back to level 1, next exercise. Empty your right foot, put the foot out in front, heel touching. I'll turn sideways. You can see a small step, not a humongous step, comfortable. From here, chun one, down through your right leg, get to the tippity tip toes of that left foot. And then chun one down through your left foot, get to the tip of that heel, empty. Change again, down through the right leg, get to the tippy toe of the left foot. Change. We got middle pivot, we got Zhongjang central pillar, we got teacup on the head, undisturbed, as I'm just staying connected to the earth and staying connected to the earth. Body is loose. No need for a bunch of grabbing on. Ideally, of course, that's an ideal. And then level 2, hand on chair as needed. This right leg is empty. Lift it, straight leg lift, lower it back down, change the weight into the right leg. Once you're on the tippy toe of the left foot, then like a little flamingo, just bend the knee, place the toe back to the floor, shift back. From this hip, straight leg lift, lower, shift. You must wait until it's actually empty, then practice moving that empty limb and then changing. Now it's full, this one's empty, empty limb. Change which one is empty and full, move the empty limb. One more, level 2, lift, lower, shift, lift, lower, shift. Level 3, hand on chair as needed. All the way up, down to the heel. Change, wait for it to actually be empty, that left foot, and then bring that knee forward and up. Then reach the toe back behind you. Change the weight. Right knee up, heel down, change. Zhongjang, central pivot, all intact. Using Zhongjang, Chun Wan, and Qingling as your means of transportation. So they're concepts, but they're practical, usable ideas that when you start to experience them, you go, hey, it's the underlying way we're actually supposed to use our body. All right, now bring your right foot next to your left foot, change your weight, side step closer to this side. Put left foot out in front, small stance, heel touching. Level 1, no hands if you can. Change the weight down through that left leg, get to the right tippy toe, and then change back. Tip of heel. Change. So you've heard me say before, primary direction is down through to the earth. And same, down through to the earth. So even though we are using this to move forward, my primary direction that I'm paying attention to isn't forward. That's another kind of weird thing until you understand it. You go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But before that, we usually are going forward and backwards, lurching ourselves off balance, but down and down. Now, level 2, hand on chair as needed, lift, lower, shift, down, Once this back foot is empty, it's just a simple bend of the knee, little flamingo, and then shift back. And then from the hip, lift, lower, shift, down through, bend knee, shift. Zhong, central pivot, Chunwan, and Qingling, and how they interact with each other. Gravity and levity. Gravity and levity. Rather than everything being stuck, we're separating these concepts and being able to use them because we have our middle pivot. Level 3, gravity, levity. Down, let gravity go down through the leg and use the levity quality to bring that right knee up. Reach back and change back. Gravity down, levity up, just like two ends of a scale. Down and up. And what makes the scale work is the quality of its middle pivot. That middle pivot can't be stuck, right? The scale won't work, but if we have a free middle, then everything can move around that middle, orbit around it effectively. And bring your left foot next to your right foot. Change the weight, side step, closer to this side. Level 1, next exercise, right foot in front. So we go change. This back foot being empty, step it forward, heel touching, change again. Down through the earth. You're on your right tippy toes, and then we go back. But remember, back is actually down. Use the levity of your left leg, step it back without any weight, and then down. And let's go forward again. But really by forward, I mean down, step, down again. And going backwards, it's down, step back, down, middle pivot, central upright, Chunwan and Qingling. Freely moving around your relaxed pivot, relaxed middle. That's level 1. Level 2, same concept, different challenge. Lift, lower, shift. Small obstacle on the floor. Pick up your left foot, step over an obstacle, shift. Flamingo, back foot, lift, lower, shift. Now this front leg, up, tuck, reach, shift. From the hip, lift, lower, shift. Use the levity of that foot. And then change. Use the levity of the other foot. Change. Levity requires that we've used the gravity correctly. So we have to let it go down to the earth to feel that levity. And then let it go through the earth. And level 3, use the chair as needed, please. Up, down, shift. Now we just exaggerate that step. We go heel to butt, knee up, foot floats out and floats down, no body weight, everything's still intact, and then shift. And then this back leg, heel to butt, knee up, reach the toe back, still just everything here, and then change. Then knee, tuck foot, reach back, shift, knee, up, down, shift, heel, knee, foot, down, shift. One more. And right foot next to left foot, side step, shift, you're closer to your other chair. Put left foot out in front, level 1. Now I'm just thinking to remind people that if your back is hurting from these exercises, because sometimes people talk about that, a lot of times what's happening is this. Right, so I'm just going to exaggerate this. I'm jamming my back, right? I'm sticking my butt back and I'm tensing the hell out of this. And really what's happening there is everything's getting stuck. So down and through. So let's all just do this a couple of times. Bring your hands back. And this is a good challenge. Use the back knuckles to guide a throughness down, down, down. So whenever you find yourself with your butt back and feeling tense in all these muscles around the sacrum, take your hands back, guide. And it's not tucking the tail, because if I tuck, I'm just changing the type of tension. But it's kind of like tucking the tail. It's kind of like pulling the pubic bone up and the tail going down. And we want to keep that. You can see that when I'm moving, I'm keeping this open so that when I lift my leg, I'm not letting there be a huge jam up here, right? So let the pain in your back, if it kicks in, be the teacher that's saying, hey, you're not doing this thing right. And then go pause for a second, open that space, and then work on moving while keeping that channel open, all right? Now, from here, left foot in front. Level 1, shift, right foot empty, step, shift, tippy toe, shift back, step back, shift back. And remember, by forward and back, I really mean down. So down, step, down, down, step back, down. It's almost like the concept of down has bad branding, right? It's like, oh, I feel down, or, you know, you let me down. So we avoid down, but down is actually everything. It's the best thing ever. Let yourself go down, release down, let it drop off you, let it go to the earth. Stop carrying it around, let it go down. And that frees up tension spaces. And we're just using the down, the power of down, to free up our ability to move. Now, level 2, down through your full leg so that the levity option is here. To lift lower, shift, and then step over the obstacle, up and over, and shift. Now that little flamingo, lift, lower, shift, down. Make sure the down is intact so that you can use that levity to step. Lift, lower, shift, shift. Heel to butt, toe down, and shift. And a very interesting sensation, maybe some of you are feeling here or there or more, is that when you let it go down, you actually receive an up. There's this up quality, kind of like a geyser of levity that's liberated from dropping whatever we're holding down. In yoga, they call it rooting and rebounding. That when we root correctly, there's a natural inverse response. So this whole idea of having good posture, instead of making it, it's about letting go. Let's go ahead to level 3 now. Use chair as needed. Knee up, down. Down through the left leg. Now heel to butt. Knee up, foot out, still just relaxed in your middle, and then shift. Knee up, toe back, shift. down through, step, shift, up, down, level 3. Check your lower back. Maybe take your hands back there, soothe it. Or even just one hand soothing it down. Keep that open. And we're back. Step to the middle for a moment. Shogun, wing, roll, fold, settle. Remember, this middle embrace is a conscious pause. Letting everything consolidate back to its natural center, natural reservoir. Then hands cross, arms come down. Okay, now stay where you are. I'm adjusting so I'm more mimicking you. Now move to the far left of your space, your chair still within reach, but as much to your left as you can, and then turn and face across so that you have a big runway to now do multiple steps forwards and backwards. Chairs are on your left for safety. Empty your left foot, put it in front. Shift. Once the right foot is empty, step it, shift. Left foot is empty, step it, shift. Step while it's empty, then make it the full leg. Once you get to the end of the runway, then we're walking backwards. Be careful going backwards, but it's the same thing. One full, the empty foot is free to step, find the floor behind you with your toe, and then shift. Find the floor behind you with your toe, shift. Small steps. Keep your teacup intact. Let's do that again. Level 1, cruise. Back. There should be, as you do this more and more, a quality of stillness throughout. Stillness. Internal stillness. Even though you just moved 5, 6, 7 feet across the room and back, internally, you're in a state of floating stillness. And that's really what we're looking for in regards to balance and effective gait moving around the space. Now, level 2, up and over with the foot, change the weight. So this tests how empty is that foot? Up and over, shift. Find that stillness, that ease, that zhong-zhang. Remember, we're using chun-one, down to the earth, ching-ling, levity, light, nimble, free. Same thing on the way back. Chain. That empty foot, bring it up, tuck, reach. Find the floor, then shift. Up, tuck, reach, shift. Use the chairs. Know where they are so you feel safe, but then try to not use them to whatever degree you can. All right, great job. Now turn and face forward. Put the weight down through that left leg, right foot, out, in, Continue doing that. So goal here is that you feel middle pivot, one full leg, and then that freedom of the empty leg, which is not the case if I let my weight go with it and back. This is clumsy, this is inefficient, right? But when I relax, this can be very efficient, very fast, very swift, but I'm not rushing. I'm in a state of complete rest. That's what we're looking for. Now, right foot out, leave it out. Just change casually over. Now, right leg full, left empty. And then change back. Notice the key to doing this is what we talked about before, the quad. Groin area, the space between the pubic sort of musculature and the legs has to be pliable. It needs to both close, meaning I'm coming closer to this side, but it also has to open on the other side. And then I have to be able to close to this side and open this side. That freedom here, if we don't have it, then we're walking around like a Frankenstein or a Tin Man, right? We're sort of just leaning, tilting, and then the boat can rock out of control, right? But when we free up this space, then we're able to safely move inside of our own matrix here. Now, change your weight to your right leg, left foot empty. Bring the left foot in, out, in, out. So now this quad is closed. This other quad is open, closed, open, closed. So the leg is relaxed and we're just focusing on the pivot. You don't have to be paying attention to your foot or your lower leg or even your knee or even your hip. You're just working from this space. Bring left foot in. Now, very important, feet almost touching, or if not touching. Now, can you change to your left leg? Change to your right leg. This really forces us to find an important mechanic of down. So now I can't even move left and right. I have to find down so that this is empty, and then down so that this is empty. Down, down. And if you can find these mechanics, they are amazing. They're a huge addition by subtraction because you subtract all this activity out here, you just relax, and then you find the exact place from which to control your body. Now, right foot out, change. Once left is empty, bring it in. Change. Right out, change. Left in, change. Out, change. Zhong, Chunwan, Qingling. Head back the way you came, in, out, change. So again, the stiffer we are, the more we see all this other activity to try to get across the room. As we open up, there's just this interior stillness and yet a complete freedom to move. So we get best of both worlds. We get moving and unmoving, stable. We'll finish with there and back one more time, side steps. Maybe you add the bear washing paws. So this is stuff we work on in the Friday class. But basically it's the same leg work, except we're adding not just lateral movement at the quad, but rotation. Rotation, and then we're letting these limbs be free. Brush, sweep, chain, brush, sweep, chain. And once more back. Bear washing paws in the stream with a side step. Shalom. Settle. Palms together. Rub, 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 rub. Rub the back of one hand. Palms again. Back of other hand. Palms one more time, and then quad, groin area, the inguinal crease, this sensitive space right there. Then hip flexors, then around to your sacrum, up onto your lumbar, so that whole area we looked at where we want that through, we want it able to go through. And then like we did our squat, stick your butt back. Sit the butt low, hands come around the outside to the inside, all the way up the inside to the navel. Quad, hip flexors, sacrum, lumbar, and yang channels, yin channels, navel, middle, quad, hip flexors, lumbar, sacrum, yang, yin, and then up the outer arm to the shoulder, turn the palm up, off the fingertips. Same arm, repeat. So there's a nice little flow here. Switch arms. Final shogun. Settling the mind, settling all the chi. And then seal. Center palm, belly button, right? Like a seal. Stack. And then the Taoist bow. Grab one thumb. Fold hand. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you know where your chair is when you go to sit down. And any questions, feel free. You have to unmute yourself to ask, of course. So I can't hear anybody unless you unmute yourself.
Is it okay just to make a comment?
Yeah, please.
I went to hear a violin concerto on Friday night, and I had the most distinct impression